Hi there, this is the Common Magician, and I want to show you something very uncommon with a couple of very common things. I've got a couple of paper clips right here, and you can see that they're just kind of the ordinary stationary paper clips. They're mismatched. I got them out of a big box of paper clips that I keep. But I want to show you something really interesting here. If I take them and I just squeeze, just with one hand, I can make them link together perfectly, right in the middle. Again, this is the Common Magician, and I've got something to show you here today. And I've always loved the idea of impromptu magic, especially being a magician like me, where this is a hobby and an avocation. It's not something I do professionally at all. It's something I do just for the joy of doing it and for the joy of doing it for people. I like the idea of using ordinary objects, something that appears to be extremely impromptu. One thing about impromptu magic, though, is that I have found, it's just my opinion, is that impromptu magic is best when it's not actually impromptu. When you do something that truly is spur of the moment with ordinary objects that are found in a location, you're quite limited. If you just take it one step up, where you know you're going to be in an environment where you're going to have particular ordinary objects or objects that would appear to be ordinary, even if they're brought, by you and introduced into that environment. If you're in an office and you do this, people would expect to find paper clips in an office, even if there weren't necessarily these paper clips available. If you have a little bit of preparation, you can make it even better. Okay, you can be a little bit ahead. This could be impromptu, but it requires a little bit of setup, and it's a way to use this guy right here. I'm always on the hunt for ways to use a thumb tip that is not involve making something vanish or, something tiny vanish or using a silk. I think a silk, making a silk disappear or doing something with a silk seems quite out of the ordinary and not impromptu, not common, and almost points directly to this, as people know it, that sort of kids magic set sort of trick. But there are, uses for a thumb tip that are not that can be something else. Bill switches, of course. There's various ways to use a thumb tip in mentalism with billets or predictions or whatnot. This is a way to use it that's kind of related to a particular handling of the sugar packet trick that I like. There's a couple of different ways to do the torn and emptied out sugar packet and then it's restored, that trick. There's different handlings, but there's one in particular that I love that starts clean. The hands appear to be empty, and then at the end, the hands look empty. You can show the hands empty at the beginning and at the end, as opposed to another handling where you have to palm in something, and you can't be open and free at the beginning, such as you can with this other handling. And I thought, well, this other handling that's clean at start and finish could be applied to other things, and this is one of them, this idea of linking paper clips. Now, you have to be careful with this in terms of handling because there is a way to link paper clips pretty quickly and efficiently, right? Like you can link them like that. The idea, though, is that you shouldn't be handling the paper clips with two hands at the moment of linking, that they should be put together and then in one hand linked, right? So that the impossibility or the improbability of it is found in that motion. I played around with the idea of, rubbing them together and making them link kind of like the linking rings, but it occurred to me that you can actually do it. You could actually do this in a way where you can get them linked together, that you really need to keep them in one hand, okay? And that's the gag, is that this is one of those things that you can have someone try, on their own. So you go ahead and try it, and they'll try to find a way, but they'll never be able to really find a way to do that, right? So here's how the handling works. Again, this is just another good reason to use a thumb tip, and I'm always on the hunt for those, uses. What you do is you actually start with two linked together, but contrary to the conventional wisdom, you're not going to put the linked ones in the thumb tip. We're actually going to put the unlinked set inside of the thumb tip and start with them over here. Now, I've been trying to use this king-size thumb tip because I think it will allow me to do more things. That's also against conventional wisdom. Normally, you would think about a thumb tip trying to get the tightest, smallest one you can get so that people wouldn't see it. But again, the old saying is that no one should ever see the thumb tip in the first place. We're going to let people see this thumb tip, but it's going to be a very passing moment. So you start with the unlinked paper clips inside of the thumb tip. I think this works better with this larger size too. And we're going to put the linked ones over here in this hand. So this is based on the premise that with the linking rings, normally your linking ring set, you have a couple that are already linked. And you portray them in such a way with unlinked rings as if the whole set is unlinked. But you can show and display the linked ones as if they are unlinked, right? They're just hanging together in the hand. And this is the same kind of idea. I already have linked paper clips, and I start by showing them. So I do this move where I say, I've got something interesting to show you. And from the front view, the spectator sees this. They see an open hand. It's just the subtlety. They see an open hand over here that's free and plain, and there's nothing in it. And then in this hand, they see some paper clips, and it's not clear what the situation is, but they see these two paper clips sitting together. And then immediately what I do is I turn my hand over, and then I appear to take the paper clips out and drop them on the table, and you can see that they're empty. So this is that situation where in the sugar packet routine, and we may look at that sometime here soon, where you have the sugar packet that is being presented to be torn is the one that's in the thumb tip. So you introduce one that's selected, you might even put a mark on it, and you put that in the hand, and then you take it out. You place the one to be restored in the hand, and then you turn the hand over, and then you bring up the one to tear. Okay, and we're doing the same kind of thing, but we're dealing with the paper clips that are apart in this case. So I've displayed out the paper clips to be put together in a moment, right, in this motion. And I'm in this situation over here where I've got my paper clips that I originally displayed that are already together with my thumb tip in the hand. And I can gesture that these two are ordinary paper clips. In this case, they are mismatched. They're two different types. One of them has those serrated lines on it, if you've ever seen those before, and the other one's normal. That might be beneficial in the presentation as well, that they're uniquely different. And then I say what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm just going to try something interesting. What I've done is I've just reversed the procedure. I've placed them back. So I pick them up separate, and then I place them apparently into the other hand. And what you want to do is the normal kind of thumb tip technique here, but I'm doing it laterally, and as soon as I place them in, I steal back like that to show these other paper clips. So I'm displaying my paper clips. So rather than stuffing them in, right, the classic way to use a thumb tip is to take things and do this and place them in and then stuff them in like that. We're going to make a fluid motion out of it. I just take the paper clips, I pick them up, and then I place them in laterally, and I steal back my thumb tip, and then I immediately show the paper clips again. Now at this point, they don't appear to be together because it's kind of confusing, right? They're thin, and they're just resting on top of each other. So I show them again, and then I say, watch, I'm going to do something magical. I found that if I just rub them together, I can make them link. And what I do is I drop them to the table, because this, I think, is just the better, less confusing way to present. I found that if I try to drop them, you might end up in this situation where they're linked, but not apparently. I want to get to this view. I want the spectators to see that over here, where they're linked on the far end, okay? And I think the easiest way to portray that is just drop them on the table, and they'll just naturally open up to that. And then you can pick up with the thumb tip hand and show, it's another subtlety. I'm showing an empty hand here. Now, there's no reason to expect, so from the front view, they will see that. There's no reason for the spectators to expect that there's another set. So this is not, I'm not being bold here. I'm just showing it in a subtle way, demonstrating that they're the only ones, because they are, right? I'm completely clean at this moment. So I have 2 paper clips linked together. Now, the fun thing about this kind of little procedure is that you can ask someone, someone can say, let me try. And you say, sure, go ahead and do it, right? And they can try to do it. And you say, now remember, you have to do it with one hand, right? That's the hard part, is that they have to place them in one hand and try to do it. This becomes, sort of in a fun way. It's kind of like the old trick where someone can tie a cherry stem, with their tongue. Right? Perhaps there's a way to actually do that. Maybe there's a way to actually do this sort of thing, but they're going to find that they can't. It's just impossible, right? There's no way, really to link together, at least quickly and efficiently like that, 2 paper clips. So a fun, impromptu, appearing sort of trick that does have a little bit of setup, and you have to introduce in duplicates right here. Okay, so one of those things you can do with a thumb tip that isn't obviously a thumb tip trick. And you can have fun with impromptu looking items, linking paper clips. So good luck with that and happy magicking.